I've been to every stadium in America. This is the only stadium built in 1903. They're building all these fancy places, you know, where you can have a beer and a drink and steak and everything else and pay attention to your lousy football team. But here, because I've done games, I did the Harvard-Yale game here back in 1983, is the sweep of this stadium all the way around. It's the only stadium in America where there is no obstructed view. You can sit in the end zone. You can sit anywhere here, up or down. It's raised off the field and see a game here. There is so much history here. This was the first time I did a camera shoot, for the first time I'm doing an interview here. And if I was an altar boy, I'd get down and bow to this sacred place. I mean, this is great.
From what I understand, this stadium was built in 1903, and the football game was very violent back then. It was a running and kicking game, and people were actually dying. Like, there was 13 who died in the early 20th century. They wanted to ban the game altogether, but Teddy Roosevelt, of all people, said, no, let's tweak the game. Let's make the field wider so there's less collisions. But the problem with that is here, the stadium was just built and it's too narrow to widen the field. So I understand this is the field that inspired the idea for the forward pass, which is now an everyday play in modern day football.
Dominates the game. And it's interesting because my grandfather on my father's side, John C. Bell, who was the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, trustee of the University of Pennsylvania, was also second in seniority on the Walter Camp Rules Committee, and he negotiated, as did Walter Camp with Teddy Roosevelt. The modern day NCAA that you now see today was co-founded by my grandfather on my father's side, John C. Bell, who was one of the great orators of the day, and actually, before this in 1885, played that vicious, tough football in a stocking cap. And so he goes way back on that side, and so it goes from him to my father and then all the way down the line. But people don't realize also, now the Ivy League's totally different today, but the Ivy League was the biggest league in America. It annually sent people to the teams to the bowl games. It was that big. I mean, this is where football really, in some ways, was invented and played. The history here is incredible.